The two of them were grimy, with tangled hair, bristling beards and dirt rubbed into their skin. One was an older man with a perfect set of teeth. He was noticeably short, about 5.5 feet tall and burly. He leaned against his massive backpack, warmed by the fire and sipping his freshly brewed coffee from a battered tin mug with the odd legend "I heart New York, never forget" on its side. The other was a younger man who looked like he hadn't been on the road as long. "I've been traveling between worlds since I was a boy," said the older man. "Jumping trains when there were trains to jump, riding other things if trains weren't available, walking a great deal of the time. All the worlds are Earth, just different Earths. Earths with a twist. On one, there weren't any humans at all, prairie dogs seemed to be in charge. Big ones too, riding buffaloes across the prairie. They left me alone, I left them alone." The old man laughed to himself, as he stared at the sparks dancing in the night air above the flames. "Most of the Earths I visit are like this one, it's easier that way. There are minor changes, but nothing to make it too strange. Sometimes they are a little better, sometimes a little worse. In one, they fixed my teeth for free, and another I got this mug." The old man's expression looked briefly troubled, as he glanced down into the flames. He glanced across the fire at the younger man, who was listening, but obviously not believing. He'd heard a lot of bullshit. You meet a lot of crazy people on the road. Take this world for example. A man can lose everything really quick. His wife and daughter in an accident, his job a few weeks after that. Can burn through his savings, can lose his house. There's no safety net in this world. Nothing for a man to rely on. Nothing to keep him from hitting the road. The younger man was suddenly interested. "How did you know that about me?" he asked dully. "What else do you know?" "I know you're a good man, a version of you helped me in another world. Picked me up on a cold winter night and paid for a meal and a room. Might have saved my life, might not have. It's hard to tell. Sometimes the gates pop up, sometimes you have to wait a while." The younger man stared across the fire at the older man. He didn't recognize him, had just met him tonight, but what he said had a ring of truth. He used to do that sort of thing. Pick up hitchhikers, give money to the homeless. He had had so much at one time and it was a way he'd given back. Now he had nothing, and nothing left to give. "I don't remember you," he replied dully, his eyes stinging, only partially from the smoke. "You wouldn't? It was a different you," the older man replied with a smile. "But I remember. I'm here to return the favor. There's a world right next to this one where your wife and daughter survived the accident instead of you. There's a gate right over there, just beyond the light of the fire. That deeper patch of darkness." The younger man didn't believe, of course. He'd met a lot of crazies on the road. But he turned to look anyway and saw it, a door-shaped shadow in the night. A floating gateway, leading perhaps, to somewhere different, maybe something better. He turned back to the old man, to see that both he and his pack had disappeared. All that was left behind was an indention in the grass and a battered tin mug, still half filled with coffee, sending up a thin trail of steam, that was twisting, forking and intertwining, before disappearing forever into the cold night air.